right, good morning. Thanks for coming and getting up so early for the first talk. Today I want to talk to you about how you can build your own Signet networks, what they are, why are they interesting, and why you will see why I want to promote them, because I think they are not very well known today, even though they are already 4 years old and have a lot of uses. And in the last months, I've been playing a lot with them, and well, I wanted to share this knowledge. So to start, okay, a bit about me. My name is Marcel. I go by Unhosted Marcellus on Bitcoiner circles, and I'm a software engineer by trade. And I also enjoy a lot doing open source work. At my job, I am always the one that is opening pull requests and submitting issues to open source projects that we use. And I also enjoy publishing my own libraries. And also, I am the co-organizer of the Barcelona Bitcoin-only community in Spain that right now is probably the biggest Bitcoin community that there is in Spain, and well, it's really the reason why I was invited to Plan B to give a presentation. So I wanted to speak about a bit about my local community, and you will see that it is tangentially related to the topic. So Barcelona Bitcoin Only, or BBO for short, it's a very young community. It really started around April 2022. First, the first people that we started this, we basically met on a larger community that it's called European Bitcoiners. It's a Telegram group, and there we kind of became aware of each other, that we live close to one another, and we decided to set up a local community. And at the start, it was just a sketchy Telegram group with maybe like 15, 20 people, not more. And we just met every now and then to have some beers, but really nothing much. And this photo is from October 2022, so just 2 years ago. This was like the first time that a crow showed up at one of our meetups. So then it came the growth. Mostly in the last year, it configured what it ended up being BBO. The Telegram group grew to 300 people, more or less. And mind you, these are real people, because we kick out bots and shitcoiners with extreme prejudice. So really a group of local people. And then, incredibly, random Bitcoiners start showing up at our meetups. People that nobody knew, that nobody had contacted with them on the internet. They just decided to come out of the shadows and meet us, and we started growing. And then we started renting places like small theaters, art galleries to give more elaborated presentations on Bitcoin topics. And eventually we found a semi-permanent place where we are today still. And there we we organize a monthly meetup that usually has 50, 60 people turn around. If you ever go to Barcelona, I invite you all to come and join. And what it is today, BBO, it has grown to almost 1,000 people. We have an incipient network of merchants. To give you some examples, the place where we host our presentations, we can pay our expenses in Bitcoin. We Orange Pill the owner. We have an office supply store, a branch place, a butcher shop. This one is interesting because the owner has been a Bitcoiner for most time that most of us, but he never sold meat in Bitcoin, and now he does on the regular. A few web stores kind of related to BBO also popped up from people in the community. For instance, we have Hierro Store. Basically, it's a web store where you can buy computer parts and second-hand computers to run nodes or whatever you like. And Kamisatoshi, that it's a clothing store when you can buy Bitcoin mercs. And the picture is a note from someone in the community bought in Eurostore. And then, since we have a semi-permanent place, we also host what is called Uncle Jim infrastructure, that are services that can be useful to the community, because we strongly believe in self-hosting. I mean, sovereignty, self-hosting, doing everything without relying on third parties. But the truth is that there's always people coming into the space that are noobs and don't know how to do it. And then we provide a few services for this, that right now the most important ones are the Bitcoin node and an Electrum server. And maybe this sounds strange to us. I mean, we realize it's not really a good practice to do this, but we remind our community that we could be undercover feds trying to spy on them, so we encourage them to build their own nodes and their own services. But we've seen that when they come to a community where they find that there are people that know how to do all this stuff, they feel encouraged to try it for themselves and ask questions, and in the end, they end up running their own nodes and everything they need. As part of the expansion of BBO's activities, so to speak, we also started imparting workshops at this place we have. And to give you some examples, we already did workshops to show people how to use Bitcoin wallets, very simple, with their mobile phones. We've showed how to build SIG signers with their own hands and test them, that they work. They show them how to build Bitcoin nodes with Star9, that it's like a node distribution that it's very easy to use for newbies. We also did workshops on mining with an S9 that we have there, inheritance planning, on-chain privacy, multi-sig, and it goes on and on. So the last part is where it links with Signet networks, because for some of these workshops, it's very useful to have a controlled environment where you can use Bitcoin without paying real fees, nor being subjected to the conditions of the network. So I will start talking about Signets, doing a small recap of the kinds of Bitcoin networks that there are. There are 4 in total. The first is mainnet, which is the first one that Satoshi started back in 2009. Everyone knows this in this room, I guess. Raise your hand if you've ever done a Bitcoin transaction. Okay, a few. Nice. So, well, I won't stay too long here because everyone knows mainnet. Then, 1 year later, the developers built testnet, that it's like a parallel blockchain that, in principle, it has two roles that are a bit contradictory in themselves. That is having a separate blockchain to test changes in Bitcoin Core, but it's also for end users to test Bitcoin without risking real coins. But the problem with testnet is that it doesn't work very reliably, because what changes between mainnet is that there is an extra rule that what it does is that if a block is not mined within 20 minutes, the difficulty drops to 1. And then when what it happens is that sometimes for hours there is not a single block, so you cannot use the network. And then someone plugs a miner and mines thousands of blocks at the same time. That's what it's called a block storm. So it's not very reliable. And maybe half a year ago, it was also very used by shitcoiners. I don't know. They were running scams on testnet and was not really usable. And that was around the time that I was looking into giving some of these workshops that would need testnet. So I decided to look into Signet, and that's how this presentation and the project that I will show you a few months later was born. Okay, then there's a third Bitcoin network mode that it's not really known by most people. I think it's called regtest. And this is specifically used by developers to test their code. So what is different in RegTest compared to the other modes is that it runs on your local computer. So the thing is that when you start a Bitcoin node in RegTest mode, it runs just on your computer. It's not a global network like mainnet and testnet are. So yeah, it's basically like a very controlled environment where you can build a blockchain exactly like you want to test certain scenarios. The photo that I chose is a screenshot of a unit test that it's a kind of automated test that the developer run. This is the kind of environment where unit testnet. So if it's not really useful, why have I talked about it? Because Signet is really like a crossover between testnet and RegTest. It has the characteristics of both. Signet is really young. It wasn't available until 2020, and it's defined in BIP 325, proposed by Carl Johan Alm and Anthony Towns. And as I said, combines characteristics of testnet and RegTest. So the thing is that what it takes from RegTest is that a Signet network runs on your computer. Well, you can run it publicly, but the thing is that anyone can spin its own Signet network, and that's what we will see in a moment. You can make it public, you can make it private, just keep it on your computer, but the thing is that it's really useful to use Bitcoin as a user, to the use case that we talked earlier, to try Bitcoin doing complicated stuff like multi-sig without risking real coins. Signet is the perfect environment for this because it's really controlled. Blocks came always at 10-minute intervals, so very predictable. And the way it is implemented, just to give you a bit of a detail, is that it has an extra consensus rule compared to mainnet, and is that blocks have to be mined with a specific signature. And the network operator is the one who has the private key who can sign the nodes. So basically it's like a centralized network. There's like a master node that is the only one that can mine. You can spin other nodes to connect to the master node and receive the blocks, but only the operator can mine. And this is what makes this environment so predictable and so stable and useful. So a bit of the use cases for Signet networks. One is learning, just for the pleasure of learning more things about Bitcoin. When you operate a Signet network, you touch things that you wouldn't touch in your day-to-day experience as a Bitcoin user that only has a wallet and broadcast transactions. To give you some example, everyone in this room has ever heard about immature coins. Raise your hand if you know what this is. No? Okay, perfect. Then we'll learn something. I won't explain it now. We will see it in a moment, but perfect. But anyway, if you are someone who already runs your node and knows how to spin it up, running a full Signet network is not a big leap, so you could do it. Another use case for Signet networks is as a development aid. If you are developing Bitcoin software, I mean, not Bitcoin core itself, but maybe things like wallets or CoinJoin implementations, it's also a good fit to have a network that you have a great control on. And there's an example of a wallet that already does this, that is Mutiny Wallet. They run their own Signet, they have a faucet, they distribute coins to whoever they want, and they can use their own Signet if they want, because, as I said, there can be any number of Signet networks. Another interesting use case that I would like to see more used in the open, I've never seen this yet, but right now, maybe you're aware that there is a lot of controversy about proposals of soft forks that some developers want to push through and they don't get consensus. I'm not really a Bitcoin developer. I run my node and I'm pretty technical, but I'm not a Bitcoin developer, so in my case, even in my case, I have a hard time understanding the implications of the things they are proposing, and my impression is that they are not doing a very good job at explaining why their changes would be useful to me, for instance. So I think a good way to go about this would be spin up a Signet network with a node that has the proposed changes, distribute coins to the people, and then build software around this, like wallets and such, to test the new functionality. This would be a way that would be more productive, in my opinion, to propose software changes in Bitcoin Core. And the last use case is, of course, in a teaching environment. This is a picture from one of our workshops. Signet networks are a great fit for a classroom because, as I said, it's a predictable environment. The teacher has a ridiculous amount of coins to distribute to the students, and you can even tell them to do homework before they come to the workshop, and even use it afterwards to keep practicing if they want. So very good fit. If you have a local community too and want to organize workshops, you can use ours or spin your own. It's perfect for this. So to dig a bit deeper into what is a Signet network, these are all the components that you would need to have a working one that it's also nice to use for end users. The central piece of any Signet network is the master node, as I said before, that it's basically a Bitcoin node that it's started in Signet mode, and it also needs to have a wallet. That this is something that is not very common. Everyone that has Bitcoin wallets, or well, maybe not everyone, but 99% of people nowadays use desktop wallets, mobile phones, but not very much people use the wallet that comes embedded in Bitcoin Core, because it's also a bit complicated to use. And usually when you start a Bitcoin node, it doesn't have a wallet, so that's why I put it here. And then we have a CPU miner that is another process that it's running continuously, mining a block every 10 minutes. If you don't have the miner, you wouldn't have a network. And then we also need a faucet website, because without it, people would not be able to claim coins on their own. They would have to poke you to give it to them. So it's much more convenient. About the faucet website, it obviously needs quotas, because if not, it could be drained by anyone who wanted to get all the coins. And then on the other side, we have an Electrum server that it's the piece of software where most, not all, but most wallets use to query the blockchain for information. For instance, if you use Blue Wallet, when you want to see your balance, what it really does is it connects to an Electrum server that tells it what is the balance of each of your addresses, and in the settings you can change the default one that the people on Blue Wallet run for your own, if you want. So we have the Electrum server that is basic in our case too, because our users need an Electrum server to use wallets. If not, they wouldn't be able to use the Signet network at all. And then it's also very nice to have a mempool explorer to have just a view of the whole network and what it does. And well, nowadays mempool.space is like the best explorer there is, and it has two components, which is the API that talks to the Electrum server to query it for data, and then we have the web that uses the API, and it's what the end users really use, not really the API. Okay, so now the risky part of the presentation. I will risk it and give it a live demo. This is the project where I learned how to use Signet networks. It's open on GitHub. You can consult it. I will not go over the details because I guess some of the audience will not be technical, but just for the ones who are developers, it's just Docker compose file that really defines all the boxes that we've seen in the previous slide. And then it has a few configurations files for the Electrum server and the Bitcoin node. So what we will do now is start spinning up a few of the boxes that we've seen. Nodes, Fulcrum, Redis, and MariaDB. Sorry, Docker compose app. Okay, so now we have a Bitcoin node, an Electrum server, and a few databases that the mempool will need, but need a bit of time to spin up. Maybe you've seen that there is nothing called Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin, it's nodes. I promised myself that I wouldn't get political in this talk, but basically if you don't know nodes, all you need to know is that it's Bitcoin Core with a different set of defaults. And you can think of it as Bitcoin Core Luke Dasher edition with the defaults that he thinks are better. I prefer to use this version, but if you don't like it or just don't know what it is, don't trust it, you could change the nodes container for a Bitcoin Core container and it will work exactly the same because in the end the code is 99% the same. So now we have, as I said, a Bitcoin node and Electrum server that doesn't do anything yet. And now we need to create the wallet. And we will do this running another command that it's called wallet setup. That basically what it will do is create one of these wallets in Bitcoin Core that it's a bit complicated to explain, but to use, not to explain. But basically what it has, the way that I found that it's better to organize is to have 3 descriptors, that each descriptor is basically a master private key. If you've ever used the 12 or 24 words in Bitcoin, a master private key is what you get after you convert the first words into the first private key, so to speak. So a descriptor, what it is one of these master private keys, and then a derivation path that is what tells Bitcoin Core how to derive addresses. And we have 3. Why 3? Because we want to use this wallet as a regular wallet, and then we want a 3rd descriptor to claim the mining rewards. So the first one, the first descriptor is where we will receive coins when we consolidate them, for instance, if we want. The second one is where we will receive change from the faucet when we distribute coins through the faucet. And the third is the one that the mining script will use to collect the mining rewards. Okay, so now we have the wallet, and now we can start the rest of the services, which are the miner, the faucet, and mempool API, mempool web. Okay, so now if you check the logs of the miner, we should see that it's already mining blocks. And what it does when it starts is basically mine 100 blocks. Why? Because of immature coins, the thing that I spoke about earlier. Immature coins refer to coins that have been mined but are still less than 100 blocks old. So for coins that are recently mined, until they are buried 100 blocks deep, they cannot be spent by consensus rules. And this is something that unless you are a pool operator or you mined Bitcoin back in the day, or maybe use Ocean and claim your rewards directly from the Coinbase transaction, you wouldn't know. So there's that. So what it's doing now, it's backdating 100 blocks, and yeah, just that. Because once we have 100 blocks, we can start using the network. Okay, so now we also should have a mempool running on my local computer where we can see the blocks, and we can maybe open one. Okay. They are basically empty blocks with just the Coinbase transaction with the 50 Bitcoin reward. And once it mines 100 blocks, we will be able to use the faucet that it's running on a different port, also locally. Localhost on this particular port. And then I also have prepared a Sparrow wallet that it's, should be connected to this local network. Okay, 882, 83, it's increasing, nice. And well, we will just pick the first address of this empty wallet, and we will try to send Bitcoin to it. Like 40. Okay, now it's usable. Once you click send, you will see that a transaction is submitted. You can see on my screen that I already got a notification in Sparrow, and I just minted myself 2.5 million euros. Not really, this is a bug in Sparrow, which shouldn't show any fiat price in Signet mode, but I mean, I guess it needs a pull request to fix this. So anyway, we have a link here that will open our mempool that are running locally, where we can see our transaction that it's currently sitting in the mempool still. In 6 minutes will be mined. Okay, and here we can see my address and the change address from the wallet in Bitcoin Core. So with what I explained, anyone in the audience dares to say which UTXO was spent? Do you know which one it is? Anyone? No? Okay, no problem. As I said, there are all these blocks are immature, so there's only one block that can be spent. So it's the reward of the first block, because it's the only one that is 100 blocks old. Okay, so that was the risky part of the presentation. I will leave you with a few practical bits of information if you want to spin your own network. The thing that configures Bitcoin Core in Signet mode is a parameter called Signet Challenge that it's a bit tricky to get. This is basically a Bitcoin address in raw mode, and it must be a Bitcoin address whose private key is in the wallet that we created inside Bitcoin Core. So the way to get the Signet Challenge is, once you've created your own wallet with your private key, you list the descriptors, and then you will see a few. Maybe you have 3, as I did, or you just do Bitcoin Core do its thing, and it will create more of them. But anyway, any descriptor works. You just pick one, and then run another command that it's derive addresses. You pass the descriptor, and then you tell it that you want to derive just the address number 0. It's the first one. By the way, the $ means command. This is a convention in developer circles. Basically means run this command on Linux, usually. So we have the address. Then we pass this address to yet another command that it's called get address info. And from this command, we take one field of information that it's called the script pub key. And this is just what you plug into the Signet Challenge. And here you can see an example. This is the Signet Challenge that is running in the network that we've just seen. If there's any developers in the audience, you maybe will recognize that this is the script pub key of a taproot address. The 51 is the opcode OP1. Then 20 means 32 bytes of length, and then 32 bytes of data. And this is, again, one of the addresses in our wallet. What else? Okay, the mining script is also a bit tricky to configure, so I wanted to cover it. Basically, it's a Python script that you can find inside the Bitcoin core, exactly here, contrib signet miner. And then what it needs to run is it needs to know how to connect against the Bitcoin node, that it's all this here, the RPC parameters, the user, password, and an address. This just means an IP. Then generate descriptor, and this is interesting because instead of descriptor, you can pass a single address, and if you do that, all the mining rewards will go to that same address. But if you pass an extended pub key that you can get with the list descriptor commands that we saw in the previous slide, what the mining script will do is use the address at each height to send the rewards there. So for instance, if the mining script is mining block number 10, it will select address number 10 in the XPub and send the reward there. So this way it will not reuse addresses. It's just for show, because Signet wallets are not private. It doesn't matter. It's just the operator that is mining, so it doesn't really change anything to send everything to one address or use a descriptor like I put it here, but it's nicer, so there it goes. And then, this is also important, min bits, what it does is instruct the mining script to mine at the lowest difficulty that it's possible, always, because if not, what it will do is to start mining as fast as it can, and it will raise the difficulty. And when it does that, after a few adjustments, the mining script will break. It happened to me in my first iteration of our public Signet network. So I leave it there. This parameter is important, and then ongoing. Without outgoing, what the script does is mines a single block and stops. With ongoing, it keeps running forever. And finally, this is something that sometimes comes up in the topic of Signet networks, is faster block intervals. Because when you are using Bitcoin to show people how to use a simple wallet, for instance, it's a bit boring to wait for 10-minute confirmations to get transactions in blocks. So Ben de Carman proposed a pull request in Bitcoin Core to add a parameter that would allow changing the consensus inside Bitcoin Core just in Signet to allow for a faster confirmation, faster intervals between blocks. So the target is no longer 10 minutes, but whatever you want. That proposal was rejected. I don't know why, but it proved to be controversial for some reason. But Luke Dasher liked it and added the feature in Bitcoin nodes, and in nodes you can use it. Though in my project it's at the default, so you can change the implementation if you want. For example, if you wanted to mine a block every 30 seconds, you would add this to Bitcoin nodes, in this case, Signet block time 30. The miner needs a bit of work still to mine blocks faster than 10 minutes, but you can do it if you hack on it. But I just wanted to say that it doesn't work out of the box yet, neither on nodes and Bitcoin Core. So this is our Signet. You can use it today if you want. If you have a wallet with Signet support, there are not many even today. Our favorite is Sparrow Wallet. There it works great. And if you connect it if you open Sparrow in Signet mode and connect it to this Electrum address, you can use the network, and then on the faucet you can claim coins, as I just showed you. And in SigPool, you can see our Explorer. And that's it for today. This is the Twitter handle of our community and the GitHub repository if you want to dig into the details. That's it. Thank you for coming.